Hello, guys. Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our exciting new stories. Get ready to dive into a world of imagination.
Nord's ring emitted a faint hum as it rested against his finger, sending familiar tingling sensations of warning through his hand. He stepped into the dimly lit briefing room at the Stellar Security Corps headquarters. The holographic display flickered on, revealing Commander Voss's stern expression. "I'll be straightforward," Voss said, his cybernetic eye shifting focus. "This assignment is unusual. 20 million credits for a simple protection mission." Nord raised an eyebrow. "Nothing about that sounds simple." "The client is Luna Caldwell." The name struck Nord unexpectedly. Caldwell, same surname as that enigmatic family from his childhood. His hand instinctively touched the ring they had given him, along with the adaptive armor he wore under his casual attire. "She's arriving at Center Spaceport in 3 hours," Voss continued. Leaning forward, his expression serious, he added, "She has an effect on people, some sort of biological field that causes euphoria and loss of control. You'll need these." He slid a case across the table. Inside were a set of neural dampeners, but Nord left them untouched. His ring would provide all the protection he needed. The private landing bay at the spaceport gleamed with polished chrome and soft blue lighting. Nord positioned himself by the entrance, his armor subtly shifting under his clothes, preparing for any potential threat. A sleek ship landed, painted in deep purples and silvers. As the boarding ramp descended, Nord felt his ring pulse more intensely than ever before. Then he saw her. Luna Caldwell descended like a vision from another world. Her skin was a captivating shade of blue, shimmering under the spaceport's lights. Despite the massive Shadow Forge restraints on her wrists, artifacts legendary enough to weigh as much as a small shuttle each, she moved with a natural grace. Her figure was flawless, but it was her face that held his attention. High cheekbones, full lips curved into a knowing smile, and eyes that conveyed ancient wisdom behind their playful glimmer. "So," she said, her voice carrying a melodious quality that sent a chill down his spine, "you're the one they sent to protect me?" She approached him, her steps deliberate. "Touch me. I dare you. Think you can handle these magnificent curves?" His ring pulsed, presenting him with potential responses. "Step back, 43% chance of success. Maintain distance, 67% chance. Accept her challenge, 89% chance." Nord smoothly moved forward, one arm wrapping around her waist. The contact sent an electric charge through his body, but he kept his expression composed. "I handle whatever the job requires, Lady Caldwell." Her eyes widened in surprise, then sparkled with delight. "Oh, I like you. Most men either run or drool by now." She didn't pull away. "Call me Luna, and you are Nord. Nord. Just Nord. It's enough." She laughed, her voice like crystal chimes. "A man of mystery. Perfect." Her face grew serious. "Though I should warn you, I'm not usually this restrained. She lifted her wrist slightly, showing the restraints with visible effort. "Let's just say I've had better days." "What happened?" Nord asked, finally releasing her waist, though his skin seemed to recall the contact. "Politics. Betrayal. The usual drama that comes with being a galactic noble." She waved it off casually. "Nothing I can't handle once I regain my strength." As they made their way toward the private transport, Nord's ring continued its warning pulses. Luna found every opportunity to brush against him, lean in close when speaking, or touch his arm for emphasis. "You're different," she remarked during a quiet moment. "Most people can't resist my natural charm, even with dampeners." "Maybe I'm just professional," she smirked. "Or maybe you have secrets of your own." Her eyes flicked to his ring. "That's an interesting piece of jewelry." A spark of recognition flared within Nord. The design of the ring, could it be connected to her family? The memories of that childhood encounter resurfaced. The blue-skinned girl, the magnificent estate, her parents. "Something on your mind?" Luna's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Just focusing on keeping you safe." She moved closer, her scent like exotic flowers. "Are you sure that's all you're focusing on?" The ring pulsed a warning, but Nord was beginning to navigate the fine line between keeping a professional distance and building the trust required for this mission. There was something about her that felt hauntingly familiar, stirring memories he tried to forget. "Tell me," she said, running a finger along the restraint on her right wrist. "Have you ever been to the Caldwell estate?" Nord's heart skipped a beat, but his training kept his expression calm. Can't say I have. She gave him a knowing look. Shame. It's quite magical. His ring flared again, showing entirely new pathways, ones he had never seen before. Something told him this mission would be unlike any he had experienced, and he wasn't sure if that was a good thing. The private transport glided through the neon-lit skyways of New Shanghai, its tinted windows reflecting the kaleidoscope of lights from the towering skyscrapers. Luna sat across from Nord, the Shadowforge restraints resting heavily in her lap. So, tell me about yourself, mysterious protector, she purred, crossing her legs gracefully. What makes a man immune to my charm? Nord's ring flickered with potential responses. He chose carefully. Experience teaches control. Does it now? She said, her lips curling into a smile. And what kind of experiences are we talking about? Before he could respond, the transport lurched. Nord's enhanced armor stiffened, ready for action, but it was only turbulence from a passing cargo ship. Luna had been thrown forward slightly, and Nord caught her instinctively. The touch sent another surge of strange energy through him, but this time he felt something else, a familiar resonance, an echo from his past. My hero, she teased, though she didn't pull away. These restraints make balance difficult. Why are you wearing them? Nord asked, helping her back to her seat. Her playful expression faltered for a moment. Let's just say some people find my natural abilities concerning, especially in delicate negotiations. The same abilities that affect others' emotions? Oh, that's just the surface. Luna leaned in closer, lowering her voice conspiratorially. Without these, I could do things that could leave you dizzy, teleportation, energy manipulation, perhaps even a bit of time distortion. Nord's ring pulsed rapidly. The mention of teleportation triggered a flash of memory, a moment from childhood when he suddenly found himself displaced, standing in that magnificent estate. You don't believe me? Luna asked, noticing his thoughtful expression. I believe there's more to you than meets the eye. She responded, laughing. A diplomatic answer? But you're right. There's always more. Her eyes narrowed playfully. Just like there's more to you than this professional facade, like that ring, for example. Nord unconsciously touched the artifact. Just a lucky charm, really. Luna moved closer, despite her restraints. It looks a lot like something my father once made, a special order for a special guest. The ring warmed against his skin, and the probability paths it displayed began to shift in unexpected ways. Luna's proximity was affecting its predictions, creating patterns he'd never seen before. Your father makes jewelry? He asked casually. Among other things, he's quite the artisan, especially with items that have unique properties. She reached for his hand, but Nord smoothly stood up, moving to check the transport's navigation system. Luna's laugh followed him, avoiding contact. After that bold embrace at the spaceport, professional assessment was required, both then and now. The ring showed him multiple possible futures branching out from this moment. In some, he maintained his distance. In others, we're approaching your hotel, he said, deflecting. Security should be our priority, always. So focused on duty, Luna sighed dramatically. But tell me, Nord, when you dream about blue-skinned girls, are you always this professional? His head snapped toward her. The ring burned hot against his finger. Luna's smile was triumphant. Oh yes, I can sense it, your particular interest. The question is, where did it come from? The transport began its descent toward the hotel's private landing pad, but Nord barely noticed. His mind raced with implications. Could she know about that childhood encounter? Was she? We're here, he said, pushing the thoughts aside. Professional now, questions later. So we are. Luna rose gracefully despite her restraints. As she passed him, she whispered, Don't worry, Nord. We have plenty of time to unravel each other's mysteries. The ring pulsed one final time, revealing a glimpse of intertwined destinies. This mission, Nord realized, was going to test more than just his professional boundaries. It would challenge everything he thought he knew about his past, present, and future. The Celestial Dragon Hotel rose like a twisted crystal spire into the neon-lit clouds, its surface reflecting the city's endless light show. As Nord guided Luna through the private entrance, his armor constantly adjusted beneath his clothes, responding to every subtle movement around them. All this security for little old me? Luna mused, watching the hotel's automated defense systems scan them. though I suppose these aren't just for show. She lifted her restraints slightly. The negotiations tomorrow are sensitive, Nord replied, guiding her toward the private elevator. His ring was constantly active now, processing countless possibilities with her so close. Sensitive is an understatement. Luna's playful tone dropped for a moment. The peace of three-star systems depends on them, and someone very much wants them to fail. The elevator doors closed with a soft hiss. Luna immediately leaned against the wall, the weight of her restraints finally showing in her posture. They're getting heavier, aren't they? Nord observed. Notice that, did you? She managed a smile, but strain was visible in her eyes. They adapt. The longer they're worn, the more they restrict. Nord's ring flared with warning as she suddenly stumbled. He caught her again, and this time, the contact felt different. Through his armor, he felt a familiar pulse of energy, like that day in the estate years ago. Sorry, she breathed, steadying herself against his chest. Usually I can manage better, but when was the last time you slept? Sleep? What's that? She tried to joke, but Nord saw through it. The elevator reached the penthouse floor. Nord kept an arm around her waist as they walked to her suite. His ring displayed multiple threat possibilities, but none immediate. Home sweet home, Luna declared as they entered the luxurious apartment. At least for the next few days. She moved to a plush chair and practically collapsed into it. Gods, these things are killing me. Nord studied her carefully now. Behind the flirtatious facade and noble bearing, exhaustion was clearly taking its toll. You're not just wearing these for the negotiations, are you? He asked quietly. Luna's eyes met his, and for a moment her mask slipped completely. Very perceptive. No, I'm not. They were forced on me. A precaution, they said, to ensure my cooperation. Who's they? Wouldn't you like to know? Her playful tone returned, but didn't reach her eyes. Maybe I'll tell you if you tell me about that interesting ring of yours. Nord's ring pulsed, showing mixed outcomes for various responses. But before he could choose one, a soft chime indicated someone at the door. Room service, a voice called. Nord's ring immediately flashed danger signals. He moved swiftly, positioning himself between Luna and the door. I didn't order anything, Luna said softly, suddenly alert despite her fatigue. Nord's armor shifted beneath his clothes, preparing for combat. Stay behind me. My hero again? She whispered, but this time without any teasing. Though if I didn't have these on, I could handle this myself. The chime sounded again, more insistent now. Room service, it called. Nord's ring showed him multiple paths, most leading to violence. But one showed a different possibility. He made his decision. Play along, Nord whispered, moving toward the door. His ring pulsed steadily, guiding his timing. Coming, he called out, pitching his voice to sound casual. Luna caught on immediately. Darling, who ordered champagne? She called. Despite her exhaustion, her voice effortlessly conveyed the calm demeanor of a socialite. As soon as Nord opened the door, his enhanced armor detected the slight movements of weapons being drawn. 3 servers stood in the doorway, their uniforms stiffly concealing body armor. His ring flared to show the optimal path. Before the attackers could react, Nord grabbed the serving cart and slammed it into the first assailant. His armor instantly reinforced his fist as he struck the second man's solar plexus. The third attacker pulled a sonic disruptor, but Nord was already moving, his armor adjusting to absorb the incoming blast. Duck! Luna yelled. Instinctively, Nord dropped as a serving tray flew over his head, striking the third attacker with surprising force. Despite her restraint, Luna had managed to kick the tray off the fallen cart with incredible precision. It was clear she wasn't completely helpless. She winked, though the effort left her visibly drained. More footsteps thundered down the hallway. Nord's ring showed that they had exactly 12 seconds before reinforcements arrived. Time to go, he said, quickly checking the downed attacker's professional gear, high-end weapons. This wasn't a random attempt. My hero, full of surprises, Luna said as Nord helped her up. That was some impressive protection detail work. Less talking, more moving, he urged, guiding her toward the emergency exit while supporting her as the restraints seemed to grow heavier with every step. Wait, she gasped, stumbling again. I can't. These things are reacting to the danger. They're getting stronger. Nord's ring pulsed with urgency. 8 seconds. He quickly made a decision and scooped Luna into his arms, when his armor compensating for the weight of the restraints. Even with its enhancements, he could feel the strain. My, Luna managed through gritted teeth. Buying me dinner first would have been nice. You never stop, do you? Nord pushed through the emergency door just as shouts erupted behind them. Part of my charm, she whispered, her head resting against his shoulder. Speaking of which, you're still impressively resistant to my natural allure, even this close. 5 seconds? Nord noted, starting down the emergency stairs with his armor working overtime to maintain their pace. Maybe I'm just focused on keeping us alive. Or maybe, Luna's voice softened, fighting against the pain. You've encountered something like it before, maybe in a certain estate years ago? Nord nearly missed a step. His ring flared with warnings. 3 seconds. Now isn't the time, he replied firmly, though his mind was racing with the implications. Time. Luna laughed weakly. Time is a funny thing, like how a little blue-skinned girl once pulled a strange boy through it. The door above them burst open. Orders were shouted and weapons charged. 1 second. Hold tight, Nord commanded, shifting his armor to maximum protection mode. Just like old times, Luna whispered. And then, everything erupted into chaos. Gunfire and explosions rang out as Nord's ring guided him to the perfect path. His armor redistributed its mass, allowing him to leap over the stairwell railing and use the supports as stepping stones on their descent. Impressive, Luna murmured against his neck. The armor adapts beautifully, almost like it was made for you. Another explosion shook the building. Nord's ring pulsed with a warning, showing the next safe landing point. Less analyzing, more surviving, he said, though her words were too close to his suspicions. The armor had always seemed to understand his needs, almost as if it were designed for him. Watch out! Luna's shout snapped him back to focus. A security drone buzzed up through the stairwell, charging its weapons. Hold on tight! Nord twisted midair, his armor shifting to protect them both as he kicked off the wall. The drone's shots missed by millimeters, leaving scorch marks where they'd been just a split second before. You know, Luna managed, her restraints growing tighter with every moment. Most men wait until at least the third date for this kind of excitement. Is this a date? Nord asked as he landed on another platform, his armor absorbing the impact. Well, let's see, Luna replied, counting off despite their situation. Dinner was interrupted. You swept me off my feet, literally. Now we're having a lovely moonlit chase, though I usually prefer to do the chasing. More footsteps echoed above them. Nord's ring showed 2 possible escape routes. The obvious one through the ground floor would be heavily guarded, but the other... How do you feel about maintenance tunnels? He asked, spotting a service door 3 floors down. Darling, I'll follow you anywhere, Luna replied, though her flirtation was cut short by a gasp of pain as the restraints tightened further. Nord's ring pulsed again. They had minutes before the restraints fully incapacitated her. He had to act quickly. Those cuffs, he said, making another controlled leap downward. They're reacting to threat levels. Clever boy. Luna's strained voice was tinged with a small smile. They're programmed to tighten if they think I'm about to use my abilities. Right now, they think I'm going to teleport us both to safety. Can you? Normally? In my sleep? She said, lifting her wrist slightly, though the effort was clearly immense. I can barely lift these things. They reached the service door, and Nord's armor enhanced his strength enough to pry it open with one hand while still carrying Luna. The tunnel beyond was dark and cramped, but his ring indicated it was their best option. I have to put you down, he warned. Can you walk? For you, I'll manage, she replied. He set her down gently, keeping one arm around her waist for support. Through his armor, he could feel the energy emanating from her. Now weaker, but still remarkably similar to what he had experienced years ago in that strange estate. Luna's voice suddenly became serious as they made their way through the darkness. Why did you really take this contract? His ring warmed against his finger, showing multiple conversation paths. But before he could choose one, a deep rumble shook the tunnel. They're sealing the exits, Luna realized. They'd rather kill us both than let me reach those negotiations. Nord's ring blazed with an urgent warning. They had less than a minute before being trapped. Luna, he said quickly, do you trust me? She laughed softly. A man I just met, who's surprisingly immune to my charms, has incredible combat skills and wears armor that seems oddly familiar. She met his eyes in the darkness. Strangely enough, I do. Nord's ring showed him one last path, risky, but with the highest probability of success. Then hold on tight, he said, pulling her close as his armor began to shift in ways he'd never seen before. And remember, you asked for excitement. Luna's smile was visible even in the dim light, just like that day in the estate. Right. This time, Nord didn't deny it. Instead, he activated something in his armor that he'd never dared to before, and the world around them transformed into brilliant light. The brilliant light coalesced into a sphere of energy around them as Nord's armor responded to some deeply buried programming. His ring burned hot against his finger, showing him possibilities he'd never seen before, as if Luna's presence was unlocking new pathways. Oh my, Luna breathed, watching the energy field expand. That's definitely Father's work. The signature is unmistakable. The tunnel behind them collapsed with a thunderous roar, but the energy field held steady. Nord felt his armor shifting, pieces realigning in impossible ways, responding to Luna's proximity. Your father? Nord said finally, voicing what he'd suspected. Rain Caldwell. He gave me this armor after my little temporal mishap brought you to our estate. Luna's smile was knowing despite her evident exhaustion. I wondered when you'd admit it. Another explosion rocked the tunnel ahead of them. The energy field rippled but remained intact. You knew the whole time? Let's just say. Luna shifted closer, the movement clearly painful with her restraints. That little girl never quite forgot the boy she accidentally kidnapped through time and space. Nord's ring pulsed urgently. They had mere moments before the entire tunnel system would be compromised. The armor was offering him options he'd never known existed. But they all required. You need to trust me too, Luna said, as if reading his thoughts. Those memories you have of that day, they're real. And this armor, it was designed to work with my energy signature. That's why it's responding differently now. Nord realized his ring confirmed the possibility. Quick learner, Luna managed a playful wink despite her obvious pain. Now, these restraints are killing me, and we're about to be crushed. Any bright ideas? The ring showed him one path. Dangerous, nearly impossible, but with the highest probability of success. The armor needs your energy to activate its full potential, he said, pieces clicking into place. And you need these restraints off. Brilliant deduction, but they're designed to be impenetrable by normal means. Nord pulled her closer, his armor humming in response. But what about the same energy signature? They were crafted to contain. Luna's eyes widened with understanding. The feedback loop, she said. It could work. But Nord saw her expression grow serious. If we try this and fail? Another explosion closer this time, he finished for her. We'll be crushed. Actually, we'll be scattered across several dimensions, he added. Much messier. Nord's ring pulsed with one final warning. It was now or never. Touch me, I dare you, he quoted her earlier challenge, managing a slight smile. Luna laughed despite everything. Using my own words against me? That's just unfair. She pressed closer, her blue skin seeming to glow within the energy field. But since you asked so nicely, the armor responded to her proximity, panels shifting to create contact points. The ring blazed with possibility as their energy signatures began to align. Ready? Nord asked, though his ring was already showing him the outcome. Darling, Luna smiled, her eyes beginning to glow with power. I've been ready since that day in the estate. The world around them erupted into pure energy as past and present collided in a spectacular display of light and power. The surge of power was unlike anything Nord had ever experienced. His armor resonated with Luna's energy, creating a feedback loop that made his ring pulse with blinding intensity. The shadow-forged restraints began to vibrate, their ancient metal struggling against the combined frequencies. Luna gasped, her body pressed against his in the swirling energy field. This is certainly more intimate than our first meeting. You mean when you kidnapped me? Nord adjusted his grip, supporting her as the restraints fought against their efforts. I prefer the term temporarily borrowed. She managed a breathless laugh. Besides, you got some lovely parting gifts. The restraints. Vibration reached a fever pitch. Luna's natural energy, even suppressed, was intoxicating at this proximity. Nord's ring showed him dozens of branching possibilities, most of them ending in catastrophe, but one path glowed brighter than the others. Luna, he said urgently, I need you to focus on that day, The exact moment you pulled me through. Her eyes met his, understanding flickering in their depths. She pressed closer, attempting to recreate the resonance, her voice lowering to a whisper. I remember being fascinated by a human boy at the market, she said, the way you looked at the stellar maps with such wonder. The armor's energy field pulsed in sync with her words, and the resistance of the restraints began to falter. You grabbed my hand, Nord continued, memories forming clearly. You said you wanted to show me something amazing, and you weren't afraid. Luna's voice held a note of awe. Even as reality shifted around us, the restraints began to crack, tiny fractures appearing on their ancient surface. Luna gasped as her power began to seep through. True, your parents weren't even angry, Nord remembered. Your mother just laughed, and your father said you had an interesting destiny. Luna's eyes lit up, brighter than before. That's why he gave you the gifts. He saw it. The restraints shattered with a thunderous crack, and Luna's full power surged out like a tidal wave, merging with the armor's energy field. Nord's ring blazed with confirmation. They had only moments to act before the tunnel collapsed completely. Luna flexed her newly freed wrists, her natural grace returning in an instant. Much better, she said, wrapping her arms around Nord's neck, her skin glowing with restored power. Now, shall we recreate that little temporal trick? You mean the one that started all this? Oh no, darling. She smiled brightly as reality began to bend around them. This time, I know exactly what I'm doing. The tunnel imploded behind them as Luna's power enveloped them both. Nord's armor reacted automatically, merging with her energy signature. His ring showed them a perfect path through the chaos. Hold tight, Luna whispered in his ear, and try not to fall in love with me. Too late for that, Nord replied, warning her before he could stop himself. Luna's delighted laugh echoed through the dimension as they vanished in a flash of brilliant light, leaving their pursuers with nothing but empty air and scattered fragments of shadow-forged restraints. Through the swirling vortex of space and time, Nord's ring pulsed steadily, showing him a future he'd never dared to imagine, one where that chance encounter years ago had been anything but random. By the way, Luna's voice drifted through the temporal stream. Mother will be delighted to see you again. She always said you'd grow up handsome. The world reformed around them in a cascade of shimmering energy. Nord's armor hummed as it adapted to their new surroundings, an opulent safe house hidden in the upper levels of New Shanghai's diplomatic district. The room's auto systems activated, revealing plush furnishings and state-of-the-art security measures. Home sweet temporary home, Luna announced, still in Nord's arms. Her newly freed power radiated through the room like a warm breeze. Mother always insisted on maintaining proper bolt holes in every major city. Practical woman, Nord observed, his ring confirming they were secure for now. You have no idea. Luna made no immediate move to leave his embrace. Though I must say, your armor's energy signature feels different now, more attuned. Because of your power? Because of us. She traced a finger along one of the armor's seams, sending small sparks of energy dancing across its surface. It was designed to respond to connection, emotional as well as physical. Nord's ring pulsed in agreement, showing him new possibilities that made his heart rate spike. Luna clearly noticed his reaction, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Nervous, darling? Professional concern, he managed, though they both knew it was more than that. She finally slipped from his arms, moving with restored grace to a nearby console. Just like it was professional to hold me so close during our little dimensional jump? That was necessary for safe transport, he replied. Keep telling yourself that. She glanced over her shoulder, her blue skin glowing in the soft light. Before Nord could respond, his armor shifted, realigning its panels into a more streamlined configuration. The change felt natural, as if adapting to some long-dormant programming. Ah, there it is, Luna observed with satisfaction. Father's upgrades are finally activating. The armor's true form is meant to complement my abilities. Your father planned this? He sees possibilities, like your ring shows you. She approached again, her movements deliberate and sensual. Some more interesting than others. Nord's ring warmed against his finger, displaying future paths that made him catch his breath. Luna stopped just inches away, her energy field interacting with his armor in ways that sent shivers down his spine. Speaking of interesting possibilities, she practically purred, now that those awful restraints are gone, perhaps we should discuss why you really took this contract. The official reason still stands. The negotiations are tomorrow, he began, but she interrupted. And we both know that's not what I meant. Her hand came to rest over his heart, and where the armor seemed to pulse in response. Why did you accept a mission to protect someone you knew could affect you so personally? Nord's ring showed him multiple ways this conversation could go, but for once, he ignored its guidance and spoke from the heart. Because for years, I've dreamed of blue skin and impossible magic, of a moment when reality shifted and everything I knew changed. He caught her hand against his chest. Because when I heard the name Quell, I had to know if it was real, if you were real. Luna's breath caught, her composed facade cracking slightly. And now that you know? Nord let his free hand trace the curve of her cheek, marveling at how his armor enhanced rather than muted the sensation. Now, I'm wondering if your mother was right about more than just how I'd look grown up. Luna's laugh was soft and genuine, not her usual practiced sound. Oh, she was right about many things. She pressed closer, her power wrapping around them both like a warm embrace, including how this particular possibility would play out. Nord's ring blazed with confirmation as Luna closed the final distance between them. And for the first time since that day at the estate, he stopped analyzing probabilities and simply let himself feel. The kiss was electric, literally. Luna's natural energy merged with his armor's field, creating sparks that danced across their skin. Nord's ring pulsed rapidly, showing dozens of branching futures, all converging on this moment. Luna pulled back first, her eyes radiating with both power and amusement. Nord couldn't help but comment. Well, that was inevitable, his armor still humming from the recent contact. I was about to say, it's about time, Luna replied, tracing intricate patterns on his chest plate that left glowing trails of energy. But we should probably focus on the numerous assassination attempts before we get too distracted. Just as she spoke, the safe house's security system chimed, warning of an approaching threat. Nord's ring lit up with danger signals. They weren't as safe as they thought. Speaking of distractions, Luna sighed, taking a step back. Looks like our visitors are persistent. Nord's armor shifted into combat mode, though it retained the enhanced configurations Luna had awakened. They're tracking your energy signature. Clever move, she noted, moving toward a concealed wall panel, revealing a hidden arsenal. Now that I'm no longer restricted, I'm easier to detect by certain sensors. Can you mask it? I could, she answered, picking up a small energy pistol with practiced precision. But what's the fun in that? Nord's ring flashed multiple tactical options, but they all required something Luna might not agree with. We need to work together. Your power combined with my armor. A predatory grin spread across her face. Now you're thinking like a Caldwell. Suddenly, the security system detected multiple hostiles converging on their location. Luna's energy field expanded, merging with Nord's armor, sending a jolt of anticipation through him. Ready to show them why messing with a Caldwell is a terrible idea? She stepped to his side, their energies syncing seamlessly. Nord's ring pulsed in approval as he reached for her hand. Lead the way, partner. Luna's laughter echoed in delight as explosions rocked the building. Oh, darling, this is going to be so much fun. As their attackers breached the perimeter, Nord realized that fun might be an understatement. With Luna's power coursing through his enhanced armor, every tactical option his ring offered was more extraordinary than the last. The night was far from over, and he knew in his gut that their journey had only just begun. The safe house erupted into chaos as the first wave of attackers broke through the defenses. But this time, Nord and Luna were ready. Their combined powers turned the battlefield into a dazzling display of light and energy. Left, Luna called out, her power flowing through Nord's armor as he deflected a neural disruptor blast, channeling the energy back through his systems. They're not just assassins, Nord observed, his ring tracking their movements. These are military-trained operatives. Luna spun gracefully around him, energy blasts taking out 3 attackers in a single sweep. Someone really doesn't want those peace talks to succeed. Their movements were fluid and instinctive, as though they'd been fighting together for years. Nord's armor responded automatically to Luna's power, creating energy shields and pathways between them. You know, Luna said, pressing her back against his as they faced another wave of attackers. Most couples wait until at least the fifth date for synchronized combat. Is that what we are now? A couple? Nord's ring pulsed warmly as he deflected another blast. Luna's laugh rang out through the chaos. Darling, we've been destined for this since the day I kidnapped you. Now, shall we show them why? She grabbed his hand, and in that instant, their powers merged completely. Nord's armor surged with energy as Luna's abilities flowed through it, creating a wave of force that knocked their remaining attackers off their feet. As silence fell, Luna turned to him, her eyes still glowing with excitement. Well, that was invigorating. The mission's not over yet, Nord reminded her with a smile. We still have peace negotiations to protect tomorrow. True, she said, stepping closer, her energy field mingling with his armor. But we have all night to prepare, and I think we've proven we make an excellent team. Nord's ring showed him countless future possibilities, all brighter than any he had seen before. Your father knew this would happen, didn't he, when he gave me this armor? Father sees possibilities, Luna replied, tracing glowing patterns on his armor. But we make our own choices, and I'd say we've chosen rather well, wouldn't you? Before Nord could respond, his armor hummed with a new frequency. A hidden compartment opened, revealing a small data crystal. Oh, clever, father, Luna murmured, recognizing the technology. A message waiting for exactly this moment. The crystal projected a hologram of Rain Caldwell, looking as Nord remembered him. If you're seeing this, the message began, then the armor has reached its true potential. Luna, my dear, I trust you've found your wayward temporal visitor. And Nord, welcome to the family. Officially this time. Luna took his hand as they watched the hologram continue. There are forces moving against the peace of our worlds, Rain's hologram explained. Forces that fear the union of human ingenuity and Caldwell power. You two represent everything they fear and everything we hope for. The message ended with coordinates and a smile. The real mission begins now. Together, you're unstoppable. Try not to have too much fun proving it. As the hologram faded, Luna turned to Nord with a sparkle in her eyes. Well, partner, ready for a real adventure. Nord's ring pulsed in agreement as he pulled her close. With you, always. Their kiss sparked new energy patterns throughout the room, his armor harmonizing with her power. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but together, they were ready for anything. The negotiations to protect conspiracies and unravel them seemed to lead to an even greater mission. But for now, in this moment, Nord finally understood what his ring had been trying to show him all along. Some abilities were worth waiting for. Some destinies were written in the stars. And some love stories began with a little girl pulling a boy through time just to see him smile. Luna pulled away from the kiss, her face lit up with a playful grin. So, about those coordinates? After the negotiations, Nord asked firmly, though his smile mirrored hers. You're a spoil sport, she teased, nestling closer as her energy wrapped around them both. But I suppose we have all the time in the world, he said, his ring revealing their shared future unfolding like a constellation of brilliant possibilities. And this time, he couldn't wait to explore every single one. That was quite a journey with Nord and Luna, wasn't it? And yes, you heard that correctly. The Caldwells kept appearing in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this little adventure through space-time and, let's say, less than professional bodyguard services, you might recognize them from another story. Though I must admit, Luna really took her family's dramatic entrances to a whole new level. There's something strangely satisfying about watching a strictly professional protagonist lose his composure over a blue-skinned woman who once kidnapped him through time. And honestly, those Shadowforge restarts never stood a chance against the power of, let's call it, destiny, along with some very timely armor upgrades. I particularly had fun writing Luna's endless supply of flirtatious remarks in the face of mortal danger, because really, what's a little assassination attempt between future lovers? I hope you enjoyed these two as much as I did. There's something truly special about a love story that starts with childhood time travel and ends with synchronized combat and unraveling conspiracies. It's not every day you get to witness a romance bloom over exploding safe houses and dimensional leaps. As for those coordinates Rain left behind, well, that's a story for another time. But knowing the Caldwells, it probably involves more mind bending physics and questionable flirtations. Until our next cosmic adventure.